Here we are. Hello to you guys on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and KGRDB Radio, and now we're live on Spreaker too. And so, hello to you guys on Spreaker, and hello to you guys on TikTok. Appreciate all you guys being here. It is Friday. It's happy Friday to you wherever you are. Here it is. It is Paranormal Fridays. Friday. That's right. Rabbi does mean teacher. All right. So we are, I tell you what, we are wherever you are in this world. Hopefully you can just kick back, and I can't bring you on. Hopefully you are just having a good time and you're enjoying this Friday. I'm telling you, it has been a busy Friday, but we're here, you're here, and that's all that matters. That's all that matters tonight. Okay, folks, in just a second, in TikTok, as you guys know, I put sub chat only on for the first hour. And we do that because I'm not interested in trolling. I don't even pay attention to the trolls at all. I have no patience for it. We're adults. So if you're coming here to troll, you're wasting your time. You will be totally ignored, completely ignored. And the reason is we have to put sub chat only on for the first hour is because of the trolls. And so that's just the only way. And that's so that's the way it is. Let's get into some of the business part of the presentation. First of all, I want you to go to our sponsors' website, and that is at kgradb.com. KGRAD is in dog, B is in bicycle.com. They have some really cool shows there. And this show, The Sacred Division, airs there as well, plus a lot of other really great shows. Now, if you love the paranormal like I do, make sure you subscribe to that website, but put Bishop as your promo code, because you're going to get 30% off your subscription. So you got to put Bishop as your promo code. So make sure you do that to save you guys money. It's already cheap as it is, but go to that site, kgradb.com, and subscribe Bishop as your promo code. Now, if you want to go to my website, it's very simple. Bishop James Long, LONG.com. Bishop James Long, LONG.com. I want to remind everybody that we do have our online classes that are available there, and they are available free. And that's still not going to make the trolls happy, but I really don't care. Again, I can give everything that I own away to trolls, and they would still find something to troll about. That's just because they're just miserable human beings. So anyway, we pray for the trolls. We pray for them. Go to my website, bishopjameslong.com. If you want to learn about the classes, if you want to take the classes, there's 100% online free. You simply go to class. I think that's what it is. I'm pretty sure it is class. So if you click on it, it takes you right there to the links. Click it and go. There you go. Now, the church's website, for those of you who are so absolutely eager to find out about the church, I've been promoting it for 20 years now. It's usocc.org. That is the church. And so if you want to know more about us, well, just simply go there. That's all you got to do. usocc.org. And so there we are. Now, so I want to say, of course, hello to all my friends there on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, KGRADB Radio, and Rumble, and Spreaker. So we're pretty much live, and of course, TikTok. And we appreciate all you guys being here. We really, really do. Today, we're going to have a great show. But keep in mind, TikTok, I'm going to put sub chat only on. And later on, around 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern or so, I will open it up for everybody. That's how we do it. So just keep in mind, we're not doing it. Well, thank you very much. Is it Nathan? Yeah, I appreciate it. Or Nathan. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So anyway, I'm going to put sub chat only on for the first hour. But I promise you the second hour, I'll open it up for everybody. Fair enough? That way we kind of just get the trolls to go away. So there we go. Sub chat only is on TikTok. All right. We are ready to rock and roll tonight. Tonight is a cool, very important topic. But before we get into that, I am reminding everybody that I will be going out of town. Judy, I think it was in September. Yes. No. I don't know. I have no idea. I know that I'm going out of town in October. And I will be at the Arkansas Paranormal Expo. Where am I going in September? Miss Judy Ann helps me with everything, because if I didn't have Judy Ann, I'd be completely lost. So the Arkansas Paranormal Expo I will be going there in October. So if you guys want to go there, if you're going to be in the area, please come and check us out. I will have a lot of items. Moundsville, that's right. Good grief. So let's talk about this. Let's see, Arkansas Paranormal Expo. Okay. So October the 26th and 27th, I will be at the Arkansas Paranormal Expo. I'm going to have a lot of my items with me, and you'll be able to see them up close. And I will also be giving a presentation. And what I love about this expo is that it's a 501c3, and it supports the MacArthur Museum of Arkansas military history. So it's a tower that was built in 1840, and it's on the National Register of Historic Places. And so what I love about this is we're all doing this. We're all helping them. We're all trying to raise money to keep this building, this historical place going, because it takes money, to update and to fix. And so I'm very excited about that. And anything I can help with history and our military, I'm there. I'm on board. So that's going to be October the 26th and 27th. And here's what you need to do. ArkansasParanormalExpo.com. All one word, ArkansasParanormalExpo.com. And that's where you get the tickets. Make sure you get them, because I'm not going to do a whole lot of paranormal conferences this year. So, and I am going to be at Moundsville. And I don't remember my brain. Can't remember exactly when that date is, but I'll let you know. When is that, Judy Ann? Judy Ann knows everything. So I'm also going to be at, there we go. Thank you. The Moundsville, the West Virginia, is September the 13th and 14th. And I'm going to be at that location. Really excited about that. I'll also be, hopefully, I will be at the Bel Air House on September the 12th. And I'll be doing a live show September the 12th at the actual Bel Air home. And the Bel Air home, if you've never been there, it's in Ohio. Kristen Lee is the owner, and it was on my haunted story. I mean, it's well known. There's a lot of activity there, and so I'll be doing a live presentation there. So September the 12th, mark your calendars, and then of course I'll be at Moundsville in West Virginia at the conference there. So there we go, guys. So make sure you're getting your tickets. We would love to see you guys. Okay. Oh, thank you there, Ethan. So tonight we have a really cool, interesting, and wonderful conversation that I'm looking forward to, because I think it needs to be discussed about. Folks, let me tell you something. People who work in demonology and understand that there are consequences with doing this type of ministry. And this ministry is not something that you should take lightly. And it is certainly not something you should mock. And I talked to Willie Windwalker Gibson, and I applaud him for his willingness to come on and chat with everybody and tell you his recent story. So for those of you who don't know, Willie Windwalker Gibson is of Cherokee and Irish descent, and he was raised and born in Louisville, Kentucky, and he is married to his wife, Shaman, and she is absolutely a wonderful, wonderful person. She does such a beautiful job with her singing. Let me tell you something, Shaman. The other day I went to their home, and I'll tell you why in just a second later on. But she sang a song that she made, and I swear I thought that was like a professional song. It was beautiful, and I thought, okay, that's got to be. That's already got to be published or something. She said, no, that was actually her song. She wrote the lyrics. It was a beautiful song. One day I'll have to go back over there, record it, and play it for you. Very talented, really, really talented. So we'll have to do that one day. But Willie is a shaman. He's an ordained minister. He's a paranormal consultant. He is a spiritual advisor and warrior. Willie can see and hear spirits, and he reads animal totems and does smoke readings, clearings, and cleansings. He is a UFO experiencer as well. And he talks a lot. He's been in the paranormal community for a very, very long time. Willie, as you guys know or may not know, I don't know, but Willie is a spiritual warrior in that he has taken on demonic cases. And recently, he had his own personal demonic experience. And he'd contacted me to get involved with that. And he wants to tell that story tonight. So we're going to do that. We're going to do that a little bit later on. But before we do, we're going to get Willie on with us. And so he can just tell us, his story and his type of ministry for about a half hour or so. And then we're going to get into his own personal issue that he had to deal with a demonic attack. And I was there. I witnessed it with his wife, Shaman. And we'll talk about that in just a second. So, Willie, are you with us, or did I push the wrong button?
I'm here, James.
All right. So, Willie, you guys have been through a lot. I tell you and Shaman, you guys have been through so. How many years have you been married to that beautiful woman?
36.
36 years. I tell you, let me tell you, Willie, do you mind if I just brag on you just a little bit?
I don't care.
The first time I met Willie, he was doing a show on public television. And I was thinking, because my grandmother she was Cherokee and my grandfather was Cherokee. And I just kind of thought, who is this guy? Saying he's a shaman and he's, Native American. So he had contacted me and wanted me to be on his public access show. And I thought, okay, fine, let's go. So I went there and I was watching everything that he did. I was watching how he was behaving with just in general, if he thought everything was a demon, or, how his wife Shaman was there. And I was just watching how he would kind of treat her, because you can always tell a person by how they treat the person they love. And I got to tell you something. Shaman at that time was what I think she was something was bothering her with her leg. Or I think she maybe broke her leg or her back. There was a problem that she was struggling with. And I saw Willie, one of the most gentle, caring persons. He took time to help her. He wasn't rushing her. He wasn't rude or disrespectful. And when I was looking at him on set, I thought, you know what? I like that guy, because I like him. I mean, he kind of he just my grandfather was a person who deeply loved my grandma. He deeply loved her, and he was a gentleman. I mean, he was the type of person that would always make sure that that if my grandma ever needed his help or just anything, just holding the door, to anything, everything, he would always do that. And when I saw Willie with his wife, it reminded me very much of my grandpa and my grandma and their relationship. And I thought, this guy's a good guy. So I got to tell you, Willie, the moment I saw that, that's the moment I said, you know what? I want to get to know him and I want to be his friend. And we've been friends for years and years and years ever since. So I appreciate your willingness to always be on the show.
Oh, anytime, James.
Okay, Willie, let's get into let's talk a little bit about demonology and first in shamans. Let's get your background, and then we're going to talk about your own personal struggle that you recently had with the demonic, and what you called me, and I came over to your home, and we'll talk about that just in a second. It was pretty intense. But tell us a little bit. How did you know that you were a shaman? What is a shaman? Can you tell the audience about that?
Well, James, I didn't start out as a shaman. I started out as a cop, mm-hmm. And it was, it just was bestowed on me because I was out on patrol one night, and I was in a Native American burial ground, and I was sat there parked watching what was going on, and this spirit shows up and tells me that I'm going to be a shaman, that that's all I'm going to be. And it was kind of just, I guess it was just granted to me by the spirits, and I really didn't know exactly what a shaman could do or anything like that, but he just, this spirit just smiled at me, and he says, you'll know what to do. So after that happened, it wasn't too long after that I turned my badge in and started the journey as a shaman. I went to different practitioners who said they were shamans, but I knew who, like different Native American people, men and women, and they taught me what shamanism was, how the spiritual part of it. Shamans are basically put here to help people spiritually and healing and different things in the I call it the supernatural world. I mean, I've been into everything, as you know, and it seems like I draw things to me that I need to take care of. Like people are in trouble, they come to me, whether they're Native American or it doesn't matter what religion they are. I've actually had churches come to me for help because they couldn't handle certain situations. It's all got to do with the energy the shaman puts out. Shamans are put here for a reason, and you can't go to shaman school. I mean, you can't, right. You can't learn shamanism out of a book. You got to be taught by a shaman, a real shaman, one-on-one. So after I learned how to do that, knew what I was supposed to do, I kind of eased into helping people. And when I first got started in the paranormal part of it, I would have different groups come to me, different paranormal groups that wanted my help because they would run into things that they didn't quite know what they were dealing with, like demonic cases and different sort of energies and elementals and things like that. They didn't know how to deal with that. They deal mostly with the technology part of it, and the spiritual part of it, they had no idea what to do. So that's how I got into it, by working with other paranormal investigators.
Now, of course, my sister Shannon, she always told me that my grandma was a shaman. I talked to my grandmother a lot, even my grandpa, a lot about the Native Americans and them growing up and what that was like. And so my grandfather was, there's an organization called, I think, a Red Face Men. I think that's what it was called. I think it's no longer around. So he was a member of that. And my grandmother was a member of the Pocahontas Women's League or Women's Club. And so I don't know if either of those are around anymore. But I spoke to my grandmother a lot about the Native American way of life and the way she grew up. Now, being that you were a shaman and you have Native American heritage, do you have to have like a family history of shamanism in your family, or can anybody with any type of American Native blood be a shaman?
No, you have to be chosen. And okay. The way I was chosen by the spirits. The spirits know how to choose a shaman, and they when that's invoked, then the person that is chosen is guided by the spirits. Okay. And like in my background, my dad was in farming, and he was a coal miner. And of course, he was a soldier too, which he was a decorated soldier. So when he came back from the war, he told me, because back then, James, and this is no lie, I mean, Native Americans were treated really, really bad back then. And I got beat up many a time for just the color of my skin. On top of that, I was a heavyset kid, and I had a limp, and I had all that going for me. And then at the age of 10, I had the spirits kick in, and I started seeing and hearing things. So I had all that going on, and I was raised in the city. I wasn't raised in the country, but I come from country folk. I mean, my aunts and uncles were, still farmers and things, and I would go visit them. But basically, I was brought up in the West End, in Portland area, and I had to kind of ease into it because my dad knew what I could do at an early age. He knew I could see and hear spirits, and he knew how the Native Americans were treated back then. And they're not treated all that well now, but back then it was really bad. I mean, my dad always told me, tell them that you're white, don't tell them that you're Native American, although you can look at me and tell I was an Indian. So, and plus I was Irish too, so I had the Celtic side. So I had a whole lot of things going on there, but basically it worked itself out, and I was able to get in a rhythm to where I can work both sides of the street mostly. And like I said, I've worked with all type of clergy. I've even worked with Buddhists. And we work side by side. I mean, it doesn't matter how you do things. Everybody that's in this type of field does the same thing, but different ways.
Right. And folks, for those of you just tuning in, we're talking to Shaman Willie Windwalker Gibson, a good friend of mine. And we're going to talk about his ministry, some cases that he's worked that were demonic. And then we're going to have a conversation about his recent demonic attack that he underwent, as well as his wife. I mean, they have been under some heavy stuff. And he wants to talk about that and tell you that story. We're gonna get there in about 15, 20 minutes or so. But for now, we're going to talk about, I think, his background, his history, and demonology. For those of you on TikTok who are sharing their lives, thank you very much. And if you're offering gifts to the ministry, I sincerely appreciate that. And for those of you who are subscribing and who are liking, please continue to like as much as you can on TikTok. That way we can kind of get this out in the algorithm. So thank you guys very much. And if I don't thank you individually, I promise you it's not because I'm being rude. I have the show running on 2 different computers, so a lot of chats are open right now. So thank you guys for sharing and subscribing, etc. on TikTok. So here's the question that I have for anybody who gets in the field, because people ask me this all the time. As an exorcist, they always ask me, how did you become interested in demonology? What influenced your decision to not only study it, but to stay in it?
James, I didn't study anything like that. What happened to me in my professional background, I just walked into it. I didn't study for anything. I was just trained as a shaman how to do certain situations. Like I never went out looking for trouble. Like you're called in as an exorcist. You're called in and you know what you're going to face, but things that I've walked into, I didn't know I was walking into until I got there. I would think that I was going to just go do a regular walkthrough or, walk around the land or walk through a house, do a regular cleansing or whatever. And I would walk into a situation where it would be demonic. I had never been trained in anything like that, like you have. I had to kind of play it by ear and listen to my spirit guides and go into my prayers and what I did ceremonially and, use whatever tools I had with me. Luckily, I was strong enough.
But you were trained, right? You were trained as a shaman. You were guided. Did you have a spiritual elder?
Yeah, I had a spiritual elder, but like I said, they taught me how to do certain things with negative spirits, but I never went out looking for trouble. But if trouble found me, I know how to take care of it. I mean, I had been trained for it, but you never know until you get in a situation. Like as far as me, what I walk into, I thought it was something normal for just paranormal thing, and I would walk into a house that had demons in it, and I would walk on the land that had demonic spirits on it, and I'd had to deal with it right then. Like you, as an exorcist, they would call you and say, Bishop Long, we need you to do, I think we've got something going on here. I think, and of course you have your investigators tell you what's going on before you get there, but what's going to happen when you get there. I never know until I get to an area what I'm dealing with. And
see, folks, this is that's why I defend paranormal investigators. And by the way, Bruce Tango, hello to you guys. Yeah, Bruce jumped in and said, when the time is right, give Willie my regards. So Bruce Tango says, hello there, Willie. This is, I tell you what, guys, this is why, one of the reasons why I defend paranormal investigators who do this for the right reason, who don't think that everything is a demon, because I get really frustrated when I hear people attacking paranormal investigators, because I've said this many times. The paranormal investigators, they are the ones answering the phones at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. They're the ones buying all the equipment. They're the ones going to someone's home whom they don't even know. And they don't owe these people anything. They don't owe them anything. But yet they're willing to haul all this equipment, leave their family, drive sometimes 8, 10 hours or even more to a family who they don't even know. And they investigate, they gather all this evidence. Look, when you investigate, that's one thing. But then after you investigate, you have to go through all of the evidence. That is a lot of work. So not only if it's a 10-hour, or let's say it's an 8-hour investigation, Well, now you have 8 hours worth of evidence that you have to go through, and you have to do it quickly, especially if it's a demonic case, because clergy needs to know ASAP. So you guys have to understand that there's so many people that give paranormal investigators a bad rap, and I don't like that. I disagree with that. And it's always the people who give paranormal investigators and people like Willie, it's people who always give them a bad rap, but yet those people who troll, they're never the ones who answer the calls at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning. They are not the ones buying all the equipment that can cost thousands of dollars. They're not giving their time and not charging a penny, by the way, to go do the investigation. They're not doing that. But what they are doing is throwing out insults and attacks on investigators who are willing to go help a family who they don't know, and then gather all the information and then go to clergy and say, we need your help. See, folks, this is why I don't like people who are on the sidelines attacking paranormal investigators. Now, I know there are paranormal investigators that go to the extreme and say everything is a demon and they take advantage of people. I don't work with those teams. I don't work with those teams at all. The people that I work with they're professionals. They have careers. They don't think everything is a demon. They've been in the field for a very long time. They know how to debunk. They know what to look for. So like people like Willie and paranormal investigators, I am so grateful for people like Willie and investigators, because when I first started this ministry over 2 decades ago, I was doing it by myself. So if I was being called out to Texas, I'd have to go to Texas, investigate, do an exorcism if needed. That was too much. So I rely on teams from around the United States. They go to a location, they gather all the evidence, they present the evidence, and that saves me a tremendous amount of time, because then I could say, well, obviously there's something we can debunk, or hey, there is something demonic here. So I think we got to lay off on the attacks on paranormal investigators, unless the people who throw the insults out and criticism, unless you're willing to spend thousands of dollars on the equipment and travel hundreds of miles from your home to help people who you don't even know for free, unless you're willing to do that, I think that the sideline critics should really just keep their opinions to themselves. It's easy to criticize. It's difficult to actually do the work. So let me ask you, Willie, when you're working a case, and let's say a family tells you, look, there's really violence that's occurring in the home, we're afraid, what can we do? What methods, what tools do you use to determine if something is actually demonic, or perhaps maybe a human spirit, maybe it's poltergeist, elemental? What do you use?
I'll tell you one case I had about 15 years ago.
Okay.
James, a paranormal team called me and said, Windwalker, we ran into something. Can you, we're going to come and get you and take you someplace, and we're not going to tell you where it's at. And we want you to take a look at what's going on. So they came and got us and loaded Shaman and me up into a van and took us, we didn't know where we were going. We pull up and I get out, Shaman and me get out, and I'm looking around, and automatically I see there were 2 houses side by side. One house was vacant. It had no grass growing. The trees were dead, and I had this, I felt an evilness about it. The house next door had a family in it, had a man and wife, and they had about 4 kids. And it was, the yard was dead. The trees were dead. The place looked, really, it looked really bad outside. So the investigators told me, we've investigated this place and we think we might have something going on here, but we want you to go in and take a look. So I go in, and Shaman and I go in, and we introduce ourselves to the family and everything, and the kids seem pretty all right, and the man and woman seems all right, but the house didn't feel right. It had a denseness to it. And so Shaman and I walked through the house, and right away, you could, there was a smell coming that the smell is kind of like rotten meat or something dead. Yeah. So we figured it might be a dead animal or something there. So we get walking through the house, and the house was well kept, and we get to the back of the house where the laundry room was, and we walk in there, and all of a sudden we felt something was in there, and I could sense that there was a portal there. Something was coming through this portal, and Shaman and me backed out and went back down the hallway, and as we walked down the hallway, when we finally got back to the family was not right like they were when we first got there. I mean, they completely changed. Their attitude changed. The kids were yelling. The mother and father, I mean, they were into it. And I told everybody just to be still. And the paranormal investigators, I asked the paranormal investigators, let's go outside a minute. We went outside, and I said, look, did you investigate this place? Yeah, we do. We got all the evidence and everything, and we picked up this and that and the other. I said, did you realize that this place might be demonic? And they said, that's why we brought you here to see. So they say, what are you going to do about it? I said, one thing I'm going to do about it, I'm going to close that portal that's in there, because you got a transitional spirit that's going from house to house. Now, it would jump from that house to the next house.
How would you define, for people who are just tuning in, or who may be new to the paranormal, how would you define a portal?
Well, it's an energy. It's an energy circle, really. It's only, if you can imagine a cave that's wide open, that's invisible, but somebody that's got the energy about them that can sense one of these things, that's where it comes through. You can have a portal like that. You can have a portal in a mirror, a portal coming out of a television set. I've had a case where I had a television set that was a portal, and I had to close it. So this demon was going in between a house when it would be in one house, while the other house would be investigated, and when the investigators would leave, or somebody like me would go in, it would jump to the other house. That's why I didn't feel it when I first went in, but I felt the traces of a portal that it was coming through. So I told the investigators, I'm going to go through the house, and I'm going to bless it, and I'm going to close this portal, and we'll see what happens. Well, as I was going through there, the family kept getting really, really agitated, and I told them that to go outside and let me handle this. And they kind of got a little rough, but the paranormal investigators got them outside. And I went on ahead, and Shaman and I closed the portal. I went on ahead and did my prayer, and I did some saging and other things that I used to close the portal. Okay. Well, that house was, I made sure that house had barriers up. I went on ahead and did salt and everything that I usually do. Well, what happened was the spirit, the demonic entity, went over to the other house. Now, I couldn't do anything about that because that was somebody else's property, and I'm not going to go knock on the door. It was vacant anyway, or try to find out, hey, who the owner was. Not going to, find them and say, hey, you got a demon in your house. Let me go ahead and take care of it. I can't do that. So what I did, I ran it out of one place into another place. Well, after I did that, and I put up the barriers in that area, in that house, everything came alive again and flourished, because I went back a couple months later and everything was okay and the people were fine. But the other place was still dead looking. So that's one thing I walked into, because back then, I don't do it so much anymore, James, but back then, paranormal investigators would come and get us, Shaman and me, and not tell us where we're going. It's like, just get in the car and we'll take you there. And that's happened, 7 or 8 times. And each time, there's a couple of times out of that I walked into a situation like that, because a lot of the times were explained away. But I think I can count, I'm going to be honest with you, James, I can count maybe on one hand the really true demonic cases that I've ran into.
And that's true. And that, because people think they're just so rampant. By the way, I did September 14th and 15th, guys. September 14th and 15th, I will be at the Moundsville prison there for a presentation. It's the Horror and Paracon. So I did find it, and you can go to on the website there for those of you who want to see it on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. But it's called WV, as in West Virginia, WV Pen PEN Tours. So WVPenTours.com, and you just click on the events, and you'll see Horror Paracon, September 14th and 15th. So, Willie, let me ask you this question, and then we're going to get into your personal issue that you had recently with the demonic now confronting you. So when you're working these cases, when you've worked the cases, the people, I think one of the most important questions that people ask me all the time, how do you protect yourself from negative energies or demonics when interacting with demonology, especially demonic cases?
Every time I work a case, James, I put a prayer around myself and Shaman.
Okay.
And I put a barrier around us, a force field. And I was on the show the other night, well, how do you do that? And I tell them it takes practice, but I can put a force field around me and Shaman. And this was, we've been doing this for over 30 years, and it would work,
Okay.
But you can tell the people when you're dealing with a demonic case, out there, I told you I had maybe a handful of cases, but there's a couple of cases that I ran into the same demon, and I first thought it was just coincidence, but now that I think back what happened to me, that this thing was around all the time, because once you deal with this, and you can tell the people this, demons know who you are.
Sure.
Especially the ones that are exorcists and people like me that are shamans, they know who we are, and we're marked. And they pick their time.
Yeah, they certainly do. And one thing that I want to say, because I think it's important, my grandmother was Cherokee, my grandfather was Cherokee, I have Cherokee, but I think people think that just because you're a shaman, that you're not a Christian. My grandmother and my grandfather were both very devout Christians. Willie and his wife Shaman, they're devout Christians. So just because you're a shaman, I mean, a lot of people are sending me private messages and saying, well, it's paganism. Let's back off. Let's try a little bit less judgment and more listening and understanding before you judge someone's faith, because now, the trolls look silly. So Willie and his wife are devoted Christians. And so that is just a heritage that he is. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So in saying that,
I was brought up Pentecostal, James. People don't know. I was brought up Pentecostal. I had Pentecostal ministers in the family, and my dad was a lay minister too. So I was brought up, Christian. So, and I've been asked that many times. Well, you can't be. You're a witch doctor. Da da da. No, you don't know what you're talking about.
Right. It's
shamans work very closely with the Great Spirit. And their spirit guides, and they have no idea what they're talking about.
Right. It's a judgment. It's the first judgment, and the people are not willing to lose. Some people are just want to troll. So, all right, but we're not going to pay attention to those people because but I just wanted to address that because a lot of people just assume that because someone is a Native American or they're a shaman, they're not a Christian. That is absolutely absurd. So just I think that for educational purposes, now you guys know the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey said. Okay, Willie, let's get into this situation with you. Of course, for 30 years, you and Shaman have confronted demons. You've taken on cases. You fought hard, and you've helped a lot of people through the years. But as I've said many times, and as you've said many times, demons can absolutely push back. And recently, you had a situation where demons confronted you, and you directly were under oppression, and not only even under oppression, but no question, you were under oppression and you had a demonic attachment. So talk to us, lead us up to what happened, what you think led up to that attachment, and then, of course, how I got involved with coming over to your house.
James, for about 12 years now, Shaman has had illnesses, and she's broke her back, she's broke her ankle, and I have had to use every bit of energy that I have had to bring her back to where she can cope.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this for the last 12 years with her on and off. And about 3 months ago, she got a sore on her foot, and we worked on it for a couple of months, and eventually her leg had to be amputated. Okay, the right leg. And we talked it over, and I figured it was just a part of life, and that happens. So we did the amputation. Everything went okay. She came out of it okay, and I used a lot of my energy to bring her through it. And I dropped my shield. I dropped my energy to let help heal her. Well, she came home, and everything was going okay. And we had the staples out, and we were going to get her leg fitted and everything. Well, about a month later, she fell and broke her hip. Now we're dealing with that, and I'm dealing with energy with that. Well, in the meantime, as I'm dealing with energy and all that, and trying to get her well and get her back home, some things started to change in the house. Things got heavier. My personality changed. Shaman would tell me, I would chew her out. Being Shaman for years, I never would attack her in any kind of way, mentally or any kind of calling her names or anything. And she finally said, "Willie, you're not my Willie." And I felt myself. I looked around, and I noticed the house was dense. I knew something was wrong with me. And I kept thinking, why is all this happening to Shaman? Well, it was to take the focus off my energy. It waited till my energy was low,
right,
and whatever was out there waiting for me took its chance, and it came into this house, and it changed everything. I mean, like I said, Shaman lost a leg. She broke a hip. My attitude was changing, and I said, something ain't right. There's something, and I kept hearing something like a laugh, and we kept seeing shadows and things in the house. Well, when you're in my kind of field, it's nothing to have a spirit walk through or come by and say hi, or can you help me cross over or something like that. So I kind of shrugged it off of that, but it wasn't that. It wasn't that. It fooled me, and I started, I knew I was changing, and that's when I talked to you and I said, James, I think something's going on here. I'm under a demonic attack. I'm under a spiritual attack. And you said, okay, I'll come over, and I'll take a look. Well, we made a date. We set a time, and I was waiting for you to come, and I was looking at the door, and I saw you pull up, and I saw you walking down the street, and all of a sudden I heard this growl, and I heard this thing started to laugh, and it got louder and louder as you kept coming closer and closer, and finally you got into the house, and I was kind of hoping that you would feel.
I did. I felt the heaviness. I absolutely
now, James,
felt it.
Here's what we're going to do. Yeah. I'm going to let you take it from here, and then I'm going to enter. I'm going to put a few things in there because there are some things that were going on that you didn't know was going on when you were doing your thing.
Okay.
So you take it from here.
Yeah. When I walked in, I saw Shaman, and it clearly, I could tell that Shaman was tired. I could see, and not only could I see that both of you were just exhausted and beaten down, physically just beaten down. And that's what oppression does. Oppression, when demons will attack, they will attack you physically, and they will beat you down to the point of total exhaustion, to where that's your past sleep deprivation, your past being tired. You are completely exhausted. Now, sometimes people, we use those words, completely exhausted, but if you got to think about this, it is constant, nonstop, to the point where it's like, I can't. I have no more energy to even lift my head. And then it begins to attack you on an intellectual level. That's demonic obsession. So it begins to interact with you. You begin to hear it. And it begins to try to put thoughts and give you thoughts that are normally not yours, that sometimes are violent or aggressive thoughts, and mocking you, mocking your loved ones. I could tell when I walked in, there was no question at all. The oppression was heavy. It just felt heavy. And both of you guys, when I looked at you, I could see you guys have been through a battle. There's no doubt about it. You've been through it. I could see it. I could feel it. And so that's what I knew then. We talked for a little while, and I knew then, okay, we have to, the next step would be the minor rite of exorcism. The minor rite of exorcism is basically You perform a blessing on a home, and you force the entity to manifest, and you perform the exorcism on that entity. So you don't perform an exorcism on a home. You bless the home. So that manifestation was going to come through in one way or another. And that manifestation came through with Willie. And Willie, I'll let you pick up. So I began the minor rite of exorcism by, of course, in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and praying the litany. And then, Willie, if you can go ahead and pick it up from there.
Well, before this happened, James gave us each a rosary to hold.
That's right. Yeah.
Right away, I could feel whatever it was that didn't like that. It was showing me visions of the rosary upside down, and it was showing me visions of Jesus, but it wasn't Jesus. I knew that this was this entity trying to throw me off.
And I gave them I gave the Saint Benedict necklace, a Saint Benedict bracelet, and the rosary, and they were all blessed. Now, there's a reason for that, obviously, for protection. But I knew Willie was under a demonic attack. I knew that. There was no question. And I also knew that there was going to be some form of manifestation. So when I began the prayer, I noticed Willie. I noticed what he was doing. I noticed his body movement. I noticed that there was an extreme discomfort, and it was the agitation was increasing as the prayers were increasing, because that's provocation. Provocation is praying. Provocation is not beating your chest and saying, "Come on, I dare you to do something." That's inviting. So the moment I began praying, provoking the entity to manifest, I noticed Willie was becoming clearly agitated, and I knew we had to go to the next step. So Willie, if you go ahead.
Okay, I could hear a mumbling. It was James doing prayers, but it didn't want me to hear them. It was like trying to hear somebody in another room, and it started talking to me. And it said, "Take that rosary and strangle him, kill him now." And I felt at one point, I felt James touch my head, and when he did that, he said, "Kill him now, kill him now, kill him now," and there, it was just like a cold sensation was running my body, colder than a freezer, and it kept saying, "I choke him, take this rosary and choke him," and it was show me signs of an upside, taking that rosary and turn it upside down where it was upside down. It wanted me to wrap that rosary around James's neck, and it wanted me to strangle him. It wanted me to kill him, and that's when I started to resist it. And the more he prayed, the more colder and colder and colder I got. And then whatever happened, whatever James did, I could feel this coldness shoot up through my head. And James, you want to take it from there?
Yeah, Willie was agitated, and even to the point was rocking back and forth, and even shaking while he was shaking his head. I knew he was going under a form of attack, and I was watching Shaman, and Shaman was in prayer. Shaman is his wife. And as I continued, I wanted to elevate to the next level, because then it got from the minor rite of exorcism to now a deliverance is immediately needed. So what happens when a demonic attaches itself to you, it breaks down the intellect and will. When that occurs, then possession can take place. Now, Willie was fighting this, and I could see he was fighting this, and I could see he was under distress. And so I knew that a deliverance, I would have to pivot to a deliverance, because that obviously was priority. And I began to pray a prayer of deliverance over Willie. And I used oil and holy water, and I used a relic that he was not aware of. And it was a St. Francis relic. And that's when I saw an immediate, I could see his hands, really clenching to the point where it was turning white. His knuckles were turning white. And so the prayer continued as it should. And at that time, that's when he just kind of almost like took a breath, and And Willie, if I just let people know what happened at that moment for you.
I felt like a pop come out of the top of my head. I mean, it's just like a firecracker or something popped out of the top of my head, and the coldness left. And I guess you could say I come back to myself, because I was looking around, and automatically I could sense that the room was lighter.
You were pale. I mean, you were pale. I've known you for a long time, and I knew you were fighting an urge. I could see that, and the way you were rocking, and and you're shaking your head as you were rocking and clenching your fist. I knew obviously there was a deeper issue there, and you have to sometimes when you. That's what happens. That's why I tell people you got to be careful with this, because if you don't know what you're doing and you're performing the minor rite of exorcism, the minor rite of exorcism is a ritual that is performed when a demonic has infested itself within the home. And if you begin to provoke, and there is an individual like Willie who is under oppression, and his wife, then what's going to happen when you provoke and you're forcing the entity to manifest, it can manifest in many different ways. It can manifest through throwing something at you, to banging, to screamings, to growls. There's so many ways that it can manifest. And if a person is under oppression, then that could absolutely attack that person. And I saw Willie, and I knew what was happening. So the pivoting from the minor rite of exorcism to now performing the deliverance and finishing the minor rite of exorcism afterwards was important. Because I knew that once he kind of got out of that moment, that attack, I could say, okay, now Willie's back with us. And that's when I finished the minor rite of exorcism, and we also had mass. So he received the Blessed Sacrament, but it was Willie wanted to come on and talk to you guys about this, because I think it's important that everybody hears that. When you have somebody like Willie, who has been in the ministry for 30 years, and they're coming on and telling you, look, this is what happened to me. This is why I'm really worried about so many people going around performing minor rite of exorcisms, and yet they have no idea what to look for when someone goes under attack. Because like Willie, because if you don't know what to look for, and if you don't know when to pivot and what prayer to do next, and you don't have sacramentals of the church like oil, holy water, incense, or rosaries, anything, if you don't have these items, then Willie could have gone into a full-blown possession. And I believe that had someone been in there who may not have been properly trained or know what to look for or what prayer to do next, Willie, quite honestly, I think you were I think you were quite very close, because you guys have been attacked one thing after another after another. Let me ask you this: when you were hearing these voices, and you were having these visions of doing this violent act upon me, which again, that's normal when you're under demonic attack. Was there ever a moment when you said stop? Or were you just so beaten down that you just allowed those emotions to flow through you? What popped you out of that attack?
Well, James, you and I have been working for 20 some years. Yep. We've known each other, and we've worked cases together. We're friends, and I was not about to let this thing hurt you in any way. I mean, it was hurting, and it had already cost my wife her leg, and it broke her hip. I know it was it. The attack was on her, and it was getting back at me and to her. Yep. And people don't realize when you go out and do stuff like that, you usually have somebody with you to help you out. You're here by yourself. Mm-hmm. It's just like me. I've walked into situations like that too. But you were here by yourself, and I knew that I needed to fight, and I needed to bring every bit of what spiritual energy I had to bear. What was left to fight this help push this thing out of me. And people would say, well, why didn't your spirit guides help you out? Well, I don't have any answer for that other than, that this thing was even more powerful than they were. Evidently what had happened, it was, I picked this thing up years ago, and it just waited for the right time. And when I was going through all these things with Shaman, and it actually caused a lot of this to happen. I know that now because there's other things that happened prior to that they tried to kill me before you got there. A few days prior to that, her and me both. It almost had a car wreck because of it. So I knew that I had to do something. That's why I contacted you. And people don't realize you can't do anything like that on yourself. You have to have a practitioner come in, like an exorcist, come in and do that on. You can't do that on yourself because the thing is inside of you.
And that's important to note, because remember, Willie, and the reason is he's saying you can't do that thing because Willie has been beaten down. You have to remember that oppression is a process. It is a process. It's not overnight. It is a process where the demon is chipping away your will inch by inch by inch. So Willie's a human being, like we all are. And so it breaks down the will of the person. The person is so much at a weakened state, emotionally, physically, psychologically, intellectually. It is a constant barrage of attacks. And so if you are at that weakened state, you need someone to come in and help you fight it, because you're relying on that person's intellect and will to combat the demonic's intellect and will. That's what an exorcism is. So an exorcism is the exorcist is in persona Christi, and you have the demonic, and the intellect and will of both are attacking one another. One will win, one will lose. And of course, the demons have all the tricks and manipulations and the other tools in its toolbox of prognostication, retrocognition, these other abilities. And the exorcist will have the sacramentals of the church, calling upon the saints, calling upon the angels, calling upon God, and combating. And so when Willie and Shaman are in the middle, and they're the ones relying on the help of a clergy member to rely on their intellect and will to be strong. And this is why, I talked about this, Willie. People need to understand, exorcists, shamans, people who fight this, we are under attack, a constant oppression. I was 420 pounds at one time. 420. Because the demons were, if I was lonely, I went to sugar. If I was happy, I went to sugar. If I was bored, I went to sugar. Whatever it might have been, I went to sugar, and it amplified that times 100. And I was taking on so many cases, and my will was being chipped away inch by inch by inch, to the point where I was just at a very broken point, to where I had to say, that's it. I had to take a year off of ministry, no cases, just to get my will back strong enough. So this is
we were talking, James, and people don't realize this. You don't talk about your cases when you do them. You've done 30 exorcisms. People do not talk about what you did, for them.
Right.
And people out there don't know what the other side is like. So I think God was telling me, go and talk about this. Tell them what happened. Tell them what he did, and tell them what you felt. So people will realize, what you have to do when you're doing one of these things, and why you keep it secret. And I told James that I wanted to talk about it because I wanted the people out there to realize what it's like to come back from the darkness. And, that's what happened. It cost Shaman her leg. It cost her hip that's going to probably take months to heal. Now she is bearing weight, and I'm able to get her in and out of the wheelchair. But from what I hear, it's going to take a few months for her to get enough strength back. But she's going to come back from this. But it's, like I said, it's cost her a leg. It's cost her a hip. It's cost me my savings, and it really beat me down pretty good. But I'm going to be coming back, and I'm going to be coming back strong.
And I believe that, and I applaud you for your willingness to come to. And we need more clergy to to not feel embarrassed because we're all human beings and we are when we're going against evil's going against us. And we need to tell the story. Hey, this is what I experienced. This is what Willie and Shaman has experienced. This stuff is real. And this is why it kind of bothers me when people says, oh, no, it's not, because it really tries to diminish what we have experienced. And as I told you, guys, we don't get paid for this. We do this 100% free. We're not going to put our lives in jeopardy for a maybe we think sort of kind of this might exist. No, the reason is we put our lives and our bodies at risk is because we know that demons exist, and that we know that evil exists, and we know that possession exists. And we are willing to say, okay, since we know this, we're willing to also trust in God and put our bodies, whatever it is, we know we are putting it at risk. We know this in every case that we take. And so, but this is absolutely 100% real. Now, Willie, I have a question for you. Now, first of all, we're going to be wrapping things up here pretty soon. If people want to reach out to you, I know that your email is crystalchief55@aol.com, correct?
Yeah, and they can contact Willie Gibson on Facebook.
Yeah, Willie Gibson on Facebook. Make sure you find the right one, or Crystal Chief 55, Crystal Chief, that's CRYSTAL, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, CRYSTAL, Chief, CHIEF 55 at AOL.com. And that make sure you definitely send him a message there, or go on Facebook, but make sure you go on to Willie Windwalker and make sure you go to the right one. So what, now that this is behind you, what's the future hold for? And maybe one day I'll come back down again and we can do a TikTok, a live TikTok, and have you and Shaman if you want to chat with people. But what's in the future for you? What's going on?
I'm trying to get back in the swing of things, James. Maybe get on to do some radio shows, and I'm still working on the book. I'm still doing the magazine articles and things like that. And like I said, my primary goal now is to get Shaman back. At least walking. We've got to get a prosthetic for the other foot, for the other leg, and I was getting ready to do all that, and then this other thing happened, and it said, "Oh yeah, well look at this. Look what we're going to do now." And next thing you know, she's got a broken hip, and now she's got a steel rod in her femur. So she's slowly coming back, but it's going to take a while for her to get up, back, and move around and stuff. But that's my main goal, is get her back going to where she can be, better off than she is now. And then I'm going to go on and see what the future brings as far as the paranormal thing.
So now I know that obviously with Shaman having, and of course still just there's a lot of health issues and a lot of surgeries, and I know that's been rough for you. So if people want to donate to you, can they just contact you at crystalchief55@aol.com and ask how they can donate to you?
Whatever they want to do, that's fine, James. I'm not going to beg or anything.
No.
If they want to donate, that's fine with me. But right now my primary goal is get her back on her feet.
Sure.
Trying to get her well enough to where we can get a prosthetic done, and she's in a wheelchair right now, and I'm able to get her up out of bed, and she can pivot and sit down and stuff like that, which is good. A lot of people can't even do that 3 weeks after surgery like that. So she's doing good.
And well, perhaps maybe we can do a GoFundMe. That would be a good, because I think you guys have been through a lot, and we got to help each other. So maybe we can do a GoFundMe kind of a thing, and we'll talk about that privately, because we all kind of need some help. I mean, it's one thing, you're finally, you got the spiritual issue. Okay, now we got to help as well if we can with the hand up, and so we all need a hand up from time to time. So. Well, I appreciate you, Willie. You're taking this hour and talking with us, and maybe next time we can. You're fantastic. People love having you on. I mean, because you're a plethora of information. So we'll have to bring you on next time, and because I know I'm going to be doing another UFO presentation. But you also, by the way, you were at the Bell Witch, correct?
Yeah, a couple of times. Yeah, I did the Curse of the Bell Witch on A&E. 8-9 years ago, and I've been there a couple of times.
I've never been to the Bell Witch. Do you honestly believe there is something there, or do you think it's all hype?
No, there's something there, James, but it's not what they think.
Well, what is it?
Well, it's Native American born, you know,
Okay.
and I told them that on the show when I did it, but they cut it out. And you know, they want the Bell Witch is a money making thing down there, and you know, this all has to do with the Native American burial site and desecration of a burial site, and the Watcher that I call the Watcher there. That's the Bell Witch, and it's in that cave, and it comes out every now and then and wreaks havoc. But you know, Kate Bates didn't have nothing to do with that. It was a Native American Watcher, and it's still there. I mean, I had did the curse part of it, and you know, they took and they what they did, they took it completely out of the show, and they took and kind of made fun of it. So
Wow.
you know, I told Shaman I'm never going to go back down there again, because I did what I could do there. I released a lot of spirits from that place, and but basically, you know, it's just like any place else that's haunted. The people want to make a buck off of it.
Well, maybe we'll maybe if you're up to it, we can do another presentation. Because I know it's been a while since we talked about the Bell Witch, and a lot of people ask about that. So maybe we can get together and have you come back on and do the Bell Witch.
Sure. You know, I'm up for it. Like I said, I've been there twice, and both of them were television shows. So, you know, I got to know the place pretty good.
All right. Well, Willie, I want to thank you so much for your willingness to jump on and chat with us, and say hello to Shaman for us. And we'll have you come back on and talk about the Bell Witch here pretty soon.
Will do. Thank you, James.
Thanks, buddy. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, everybody. Well, that was Willie Windwalker. We appreciate. I tell you what, he is just. This is so much. He has so much information. I'm going to open up the chat for everybody, as I promised I would on TikTok. There's just so much there, isn't it? So much. By the way, for those of you who are, several of you have wanted to come on to the screen with me on TikTok. Unfortunately, I can't do that, and the reason being because I run the show on 2 different computers. So I have a computer here, and I have all the chats over here, and then I have TikTok over here. So my friends on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and Rumble and KGRADB Radio and Spreaker, they won't be able to see or hear you. So that's why we don't do that at all. Now, what we used to do is we used to have like people could call in and ask questions. And yeah, Josh, you must be psychic. So we used to do that, where people could call in and say, hey, what about this or what about that? And we can still do that. The only problem is if we do that, and there's so many people who call, it's that, and people want to like have a 30-minute conversation. We can't do that because, you know, we just can't. So if you have a question, we might do that. If you have a question, we can entertain that. But you really have to just, what's the question? And because last time we did it, I love them. An individual was on for 25 minutes. It's like, dude, we're almost done. We're almost done. And there's a lot of people who are upset because they couldn't come in and chat. So, but yeah, I don't mind doing that. Just as long as here's what we'll do. Just wait. I'll give you a number you can call. And, but if someone is online with me and I'm talking to them, just don't call in. Just don't call in, because it just messes everything up, and then I just have to stop it and I'll turn everything off. So there we go. So why don't we try that? So here it is. Yeah, a 5-minute time limit. That's it. You know, because that way give everybody else an opportunity. So if you have a question, if you're working on a case, or if you have an issue in your home, or something of this nature, I'll be more than happy to chat with you briefly, and that way everybody else can give an opportunity. The administrator number is 502-531-3827. Now, please don't call this number during the day, because I don't answer this phone. This is primarily for podcast shows or people who want me to do. People are doing that a lot lately. They're calling that number. It's very clear on my website. Don't call that number if you're needing paranormal assistance, because that's not what it's for. But people are still calling that number. And it's a little disrespectful. So it's very, very, very clear on the website. 502-531-3827. That's for people who want me to be on a podcast or on a conference. But people are calling that and saying, I need a possession. I need an exorcism. I'm sorry, but that's not where that goes. So you need to go to bishopjameslong.com, click on the paranormal link, and submit an email. And the reason being is because I have too many social media outlets, and it's too impossible to keep up with all the requests. So everything has to be one source. It has to go through the paranormal link on my website, Bishop James Long, bishopjameslong.com, and you click on the paranormal link. So if anybody wants to call in, you can do so now. Otherwise, I'm going to turn the phone off and we'll go into our regular presentation. Well, thank you. Never seen that. Canadian a little duck was on my head. Sorry, you guys can't see that. People offer gifts to the ministry, and there was a duck there. So that was interesting. 502-531-3827. Okay. If you want to call, feel free. If not, that's perfectly okay. All right, let me move this over here. Gosh, there's so many. When you do presentations, there's so many files and everything that you have to do. The cemetery. Which do you have a particular about? You mean the Gates of Hell Cemetery? Yeah, the Gates of Hell Cemetery is an interesting. I tell you, the Gates of Hell Cemetery is an interesting place. Okay, here we go. We'll try it. All right. Okay. So area code 602. Area code 602. Hello.
Oh, dude, I got through. How's it going?
Well, it's going well. What's your name?
My name's Dane Hayes. Or Dane. Yeah, you probably should do last name.
What's your name?
I have a question for you.
Your name was what?
So, my name is Dane.
Dane. Okay. All right, Dane. What's up? Go ahead, Dane.
Hey, so my question is, let's say somebody is messing around with tarot cards and kind of occult stuff, like, and they get into that for a while, and then they get something that kind of hangs on to them. You know, is that something you've seen before? And if it is, like in your experience, how is the best way to get rid of it?
It happens many times.
Yeah. Many
times. As a matter of fact, I don't have them over here. Shoot. There are, I think they must be over there. There are demon tarot cards now that are out that people are playing around with. And I don't have it over here. So people actually demon tarot cards, and they're actually demon tarot. Go ahead.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, and people play with that. So is this something that you've experienced?
It is. So, like, I was involved in that stuff. Like, I don't know, going through a weird period, man, and kind of a dark period. And I started messing with tarot cards. And the thing is like, you kind of there's something to it. It would kind of like read things that were going on in my life. And so I started like giving it a little bit of like credibility. And then I kind of got into it. And, I got like a grimoire or two at one point and stuff like that. I just got into some weird occult stuff. And then I started noticing like things like, I've heard you talk about them, like the shadow people, like the things where like, it started out in my house, like, and repeatedly seeing like a tall man in a big brimmed hat around my house. And like, again, around a lot of evil stuff. And now like that period of my life, I'm kind of over it and trying to like sever that whole tie to all that stuff. I'm going to church now and stuff like that, reading my Bible. And I don't want it to mess with me anymore. So how do I sever that?
Well, yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned hat, because there is a theory of a hat man. So you can Google the hat man, and it's a lot of people who are talking about this thing that they're seeing. So here's the deal with shadow people. Shadow people, I've been to a lot of cases, even when I did Ghost Adventures on the Bobby Mackeys, or when I did the Exorcism Live at the Exorcist House in St. Louis. We saw a lot of shadow people, and with that, obviously, there was demonic activity. Oh, hello. Ow. I don't know what that feedback was. Feedback
was weird. No, that wasn't on, it was on my end or your end. That was weird.
Yeah.
Like when he's talking about it. Okay.
So here's the deal. So I've had cases where shadow people were not aggressive at all. And then I have had cases where shadow people was quite violent. So this is what I would suggest you do. Number one, renounce all occult practices. And if personally, I would actually, this is my preference, I would have you go through the sacrament of reconciliation. Now, the sacrament of reconciliation, there's a lot of Roman Catholics debate on whether or not the sacrament it's confession, whether or not it can be conferred through electronically or not. I believe it can be. And the reason is it was debated is because of COVID. When COVID came out, a lot of people couldn't go to their priest for confession. And so the sacrament of reconciliation was installed by Christ when he told his disciples, go and sins that are forgiven, other sins that are retained are retained. So I would encourage you, and I'll be happy to hear your confession and offer, of course, absolution, if that is something that you're interested in. If not, perfectly fine. But that's the first thing I would do is renounce that, renew your baptismal promises, and then you can do what's called the Epiphany of the Doors. So if you Google Epiphany of the Doors, or it's also known as chalking of the doors, blessing of the doors. It's all interchangeable as far as the terminology. You can Google it. Yeah, you can Google that. And I do that once a week in my home.
So you do it in the home. Okay.
Oh, yeah. It's very simple. On every single, people do it even on every door frame, on every window frame. And what I do is I always make the sign of the cross on the frame, the middle, and to the right. And so, but if you Google Epiphany of the Doors, Blessing of the Doors, it's a very ancient ritual, and that really absolutely helps. But
okay, cool. And I have one more question that kind of ties into that, and I'll try to keep it quick. So, like, I know sage, like, Native Americans talk about sage and stuff like that. Now, me and my girlfriend were kind of having the debate: is sage more of an occult practice to try to cleanse the home, or is that something that is like deemed like okay with?
Yeah, good question. And actually, I'm going to do a presentation. The show that's going to be the next week is going to be on the benefits of using sage.
Really?
So
cool.
my grandmother was Cherokee, and she used sage all the time. The problem is, here's the deal with sage, and this is why it's given a bad rap, because people who practice the occult practices, etc., they use sage, and immediately sage then gets unfortunately tagged in with all these occult practices, and then people say, aha, sage is bad. That's absolutely absurd. For example, I could have a church censer that we use in the church, the big gold censer that the priest use. Well, anybody could take that church censer and then use it for satanic purposes, but we can't make a universal statement that says, well, all church censers are therefore evil.
I understand.
So it's all about the intent of using sage, and there's actually some really amazing benefits that come from using sage. So next week on the show, I am going to be doing a presentation on sage, how to properly use it, and why it's been given the bad rap of cult practices.
All right, man. Hey, thank you. That answered my question. And yeah, I am interested in maybe doing that severance with you and like the confession. How would I? Okay. I mean, I don't want to do it online on TikTok.
No. I would never. No. Actually, I couldn't. Because that's the seal of confession, and so anything that you say to me must remain absolutely confidential. I am not allowed to break that seal. Otherwise, I could be laicized. I could be removed from clergy.
Yeah.
So
the confidentiality. So how do I? Can I just drop my email in the chat?
No. I don't want you to do that, because then you might get bombarded by the haters. So do this. Go to my website, bishopjameslong.com.
Okay.
And then go on to where it says in the middle, social media links. And you'll see my Facebook, because I have several Facebook. Make sure you go to the right one that says, just click that link. It takes you to the official one. And then send me a message saying, hey, look, I'm the one to talk to you about the cards and the confession. Cool. And give me your number, and I'll give you a call. Probably not tonight, because obviously we have night prayer tonight. But I'll give you a call tomorrow, or just tell me the best time to reach you, and I'll give you a call and walk you through the process.
Thank you so much. That's awesome, man. I love your show, man. I've been watching your TikTok page forever, dude. It's awesome. Well,
thank you, and I appreciate your calling. And yeah, please send me a message on Facebook, and I'll help you as well as just let me know. Well, when we talk, just give me your address, and I'll be more than happy to send you some holy water and some oil, just to kind of make sure, just a rosary, just to kind of help you with any type of residual that's there.
Cool, man. I really appreciate that. Again, thank you so much.
Sure thing. Have a good day.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay, everybody. So we appreciate, thank you very much for that call. Matter of fact, what I'm going to do, because I didn't even think about this, I have it, just take a screenshot, and I can just give him a call. I'm naturally blonde, so there we go. Okay. But that's how we do it. That's how, we have to help each other, right? It's closed because right now I just don't have the time to open the close the store. And for some reason, PayPal wasn't giving me notification. And so I don't know what was going on there. But usually if someone had purchased like a rosary or something of this nature, PayPal wasn't sending me my notifications. And that was becoming a real problem. So anyway, I appreciate the call. So absolutely, Lauren, 1,000,000%, 1,000,000%. Lauren is asking, so Christians can be possessed? Yes, absolutely, 100%. I know there are people that's telling you that they can't, and I'm telling you they are wrong. Look, here's the deal. I don't get paid for being clergy. The church doesn't pay me a dime. I do not charge for any of my ministry. Nothing. I charge for nothing. Not exorcism or blessings, nothing. There is nothing that I gain by lying to you. Nothing. Because people can say, well, you're just trying to scare people about demons because you're making a buck off of it. I don't charge. Never have, never will. So I'm telling you that I've had cases where people they 100% their faith they were Christians, and they did become possessed. And here's why. People say, well, you can't. That's not possible. That's not true. That is not true. It most certainly is, because just because you're a Christian, your free will doesn't go away. And as a matter of fact, I would say the closer you get to God, the harder the devil works against you. So you are a direct threat to Satan because of your faith in Christ. And so you still have free will. So you can say, I believe Jesus is my personal Lord and Savior. And then you can go out and you can paranormal investigate in a location that you shouldn't be there because demonic activity has been known to be present. And the moment that you step foot in that location, the moment you do that is the moment you give the invitation. And certainly, if is anyone here, can you make a noise? Can you push me? Can you do this? That's the invitation. So your free will doesn't go away just because you say you're a Christian. Your free will is still there. And you can freely choose to make bad decisions or good decisions and still claim to absolutely believe that you are a Christian. As a matter of fact, Annalise McKell, for those of you who don't know, Annalise McKell was Emily Rose, the movie, The Exorcism of Emily Rose. She was a very devout Catholic. Her whole family were unbelievably devout. And yes, Catholics are Christians. But she became, there's no question she was possessed. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. None. So, right. Everybody wants to see a demon until they see one, until they see a demon. That is true. Okay. I tell you what, Tina, that is true. Tina says, I agree, and I've seen it at church. Let me tell you something, and I've said this before. There's a lot of pastors out there, and I use that term loosely. I don't know what spirit they're listening to, but it's not the Holy Spirit. Because the moment a pastor begins to tell you, and I've talked about this, for those of you who follow me, you know I've talked about this a lot. Prosperity gospel is demonic. It is demonic. Any preacher that will tell you that your blessings from God is dependent upon how much money you give that pastor and the ministry, that is not biblical. That is greed. And to me, it's an abomination. It's heresy. You can't buy God's blessings. And anybody who teaches you or tells you that you can is not listening to the Holy Spirit. They're listening to another spirit, but it's not the Holy Spirit. You can't buy. God's blessings are free. It's not something you can buy. So no matter how many Benjamins you have in your wallet, that doesn't mean you're going to buy God's blessing. God doesn't care about how much money you got. And there are pastors that go around telling people, oh, just go ahead and give me your rent money, give me your mortgage money, and God's going to bless you 3 or 4 times. And then what happens? A month later, now they're evicted, while the pastor is on a vacation to Bermuda. Don't fall for that. Remember, the devil can quote scripture too. Many times he quoted scripture to Christ to try to tempt him. So the devil knows scripture. And Anybody who, and I don't care who it is. I don't care how rich they are, how famous they are. I don't care how many followers they are. Anybody who tells you that your blessings from God is dependent upon how much money you give that ministry, you need to run away from those people and never listen to that pastor again, because they are not preaching the gospel. Plain and simple. So believe me, the devil has absolutely infiltrated many churches. So, okay, if anybody else wants to call in, you're more than welcome to. I have a lot of really cool articles that we can get to as well. But 502-531-3827. 502. Well, now what? See, you say he doesn't understand it. I don't know about that. Remember, the devil's able to manipulate and twist and turn scripture. Any type of being that's able to twist and turn scripture, there's intent behind it. They know the truth, but they try to twist and turn to tempt. So therefore, I would understand what you're saying. I think he certainly understands to a point where he can twist and turn and manipulate for his purposes, just as he did with Judas. All right, 502-531. He was a cherubim. 502-531-3827. So if you have a question, if you're having issues in your home, or you're working on a case, whatever it might be, if I can answer, I'll be happy to. If not, I'll say I have no idea. Oh, by the way, listen to this. This stuff is cray, everybody. This is really crazy. This story is getting even more bizarre. And by the way, I'm going to be here. 531. It's 502. Jane, 502-531-3827. Yeah, I might have accidentally said 541, but it's 502-531-3827. Oh, okay. Okay, area code 215. Let's get you on here. Area code 215. Hello. Hello, area code 215.
Yeah, hi. I was calling to try to speak to the bishop.
You're speaking to him. How are you?
Bishop Long, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you? Who am I speaking to?
Bishop, this is okay. I've been trying to get in touch with you forever. This is Gorilla Suit Al.
I'm sorry?
Gorilla Suit Al.
Okay, hello. How are you? Sorry, I couldn't hear with my earpiece. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm calling because I wanted to ask you a very important question to me. But before I did that, I was hoping to give you a little bit about my background, so I can give you context on why I'm answering the question the way I am, and then to hear your answer.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So, I was born and raised Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
In Philadelphia. I went to 16 years of Catholic school.
Call from 1914215.
See, this is what happens right here. This is what happens. Please don't call, guys. Please don't call. All right. Yeah, please don't call, because I'm talking to someone. See, this is why I can't do this, because someone calls in. So hold on 1 second, because now I got to deal with this. Please don't call. Otherwise, I can't have a conversation with this individual. So area code 914, please hang up. Please hang up, because I can't get to the other phone. So see, this is why I asked earlier, please do not call when I'm on the line. So there we go. Sorry about that. Again, please, guys, do not call right now, because if you call, I'll have to hang up, because I won't be able to have a conversation with my friend here at area code 215. So I'll let you go. I'll let you guys know when we're off the phone. So, okay. I'm sorry. Someone was calling in and interrupted you. So you were 16 years in the Catholic education?
Yes.
Okay.
So I graduated from LaSalle University, which is a Christian Brothers school.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I started my life, whatever, had some, normal life, got married. But anyway, went through a whole exploration of, my spirituality and how I could enhance my own spirituality. And for some reason, I was drawn to Buddhism. And the teacher that I studied under was also an Italian guy. I'm an Italian guy. He also had a Catholic, background. and wasn't finding answers, so decided to. He had a wild life. Let's put it that way. He had a wild life, and then turned to Buddhism to try to, I guess, to redeem himself. So anyway, he was teaching me non-secular Buddhist ways, and I became more interested in the spiritual aspect of it as opposed to the relaxation and aspect of it. So he introduced me to this, Buddhism, and I really enjoyed it. But there was something about it that just said to me, this is a nice way to learn how to live in an earthly, but I don't know that it's doing anything to help connect me to Jesus, to God. So, I did more searching. I studied the Kabbalah for a microsecond. When I was in college, I studied some Hindu. Never learned much about Muslim. So, I went through a very, very dark period of my life where I was, didn't want to be here anymore. I had lost my identity as a father, as a husband because of some marital issues I was having. Then I went through what I refer to as, and I guess what many refer to as, the dark night of the spirit. Yeah. And I fell into a deep depression. And I started seeking. I was going to this Catholic nun who was so sweet, just this sweet woman that was basically, comforting me in the way that Mary would comfort Jesus. And I felt that love coming from her. And so the more and more I went on, I just realized, I'm going to need to dig deep here. And I don't really know what to do. I don't know what to do to dig deep. So I figured it was going to be all on my own. And I did a Google one night. I remember it was a Sunday night. I was lying in bed, and I Googled one night, can you will yourself out of depression? And the overwhelming majority of the answers I saw was yes. So I committed that night, and I said to myself, I am going to wake up tomorrow morning, and I am going to be renewed. Okay? And then as I was renewed that morning, more and more inspiration and just feelings of joy and love. And so that's a long-winded way of getting to the question of what is the purpose of life? And I have my own particular answer, and I'll give it to you, and you tell me whether or not it's along the lines of your teachings or your beliefs, etc. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So you're asking me what's the purpose of life?
Yes. So I'm going to give you my idea, and then you tell me if I'm on track.
Okay.
So my belief is that we are here for the sole purpose of glorifying and giving adoration to our Lord and Creator's creation here, and to say thank you for this beautiful creation that you have provided. Thank you. I'm seeing it through your eyes, God, because you've allowed me to see it through your eyes, and it is beautiful. And that's all. To me, it's that simple.
Yeah, obviously being thankful is a huge part of life, but I think for me, it's to experience the divine. And because there is no greater experience than to experience a small spark of the divine, which is God. And the way you do that is by showing compassion and love to people. Where you show compassion, where you show love to people, you will experience God. And so, because many of us are there's a lot of people wants to know, well, what about afterlife? Or what about this? And they always teach this book or that book or this book and this book. And the thing is I don't need to search for any of those things about what happens after life, because I know life continues, because I've already experienced God's presence.
Yeah.
And I've experienced God's presence by being compassionate. Scripture says, always be honest, Proverbs, count your blessings, Psalms, be kind and tenderhearted in Ephesians, keep your promises, Romans, forgive and forget, Micah, choose your words wisely, Ephesians, use kind words, Proverbs, be thankful, 1 Thessalonians, and of course, love one another, 1 Peter. So this is, if you really want to experience God, show compassion to someone. For me, when I experience God through simplicity. I talked about this. I don't experience God when I go to golden cathedrals. Well, actually, when I go to golden cathedrals, I get irritated because I think that the chair that their pastor is sitting on could feed an entire city of impoverished children. So to me, I just don't like that. I find the divine in the most simplest ways in this, and the most, because here's the deal. When you're giving someone your time, you are lighting that divine spark within someone else, because that is a time that you can never get back.
Yes. Bishop, one of the things that I've noticed is that the way I connect with people in the most, meaningful ways is to listen non-judgmentally and to actually hear what they're saying and be guided by their spirit to let me know what it is that they want from me. And if I can't tell what it is they want from me, I just ask them, what can I do? Is there something I can do to help? Whether that would be monetary, whether that would be, time, whether that whatever it might be, you tell me what you need and I will be there for you. And that's the way that I've learned to really experience peace. And the peace, it comes from a position of strength where you say to yourself, I really don't give a crap what comes at me. I know that I'm going to be okay because I have his love to pull me through anything.
That's right.
And all of this is so temporary, and as long as I'm pleasing him, who cares?
That's right. And you are, the word is, I think all of us, the word is empathy. We have a society where people just simply, it's always judgment and condemnation, and you're evil and you're judgment and all this other stuff.
Yes.
If we just actually sit back, relax, listen to other people's lives and their story, and show compassionate and show empathy, boy, I think we could be a hell of a lot better off than where we are today. No question about that. But one act of kindness, truly one act of kindness can be the ripple. And I talked about this the other day at night prayer. One act of kindness can be a ripple in the ocean that can turn into a tsunami. And it absolutely.
Bishop, go ahead, Bishop. I have a very interesting story.
Okay. Real quick, and then we're gonna get someone else's beg. You want to jump on, but go ahead.
Okay, so this was several years ago. My family and I were driving down to see my parents. This was in South Philadelphia, and I noticed that there was, it was a bad snowstorm. There was ice and snow everywhere, and people were stuck and having trouble. Anyway, I noticed this elderly black man on the side of the road, and he was having trouble getting his car out. Okay. And so my children were in the car. So I said to myself, this is a time to show them what it is to be a Christian.
That's right.
So I
call from 19.
Please don't call. Why would you do that? I ask you not to do it. Please, I'm going to have to, please, area code 914, please stop. Now you're being disrespectful. We just talked about showing compassion. Stop. I tell you what, here's what we're going to do. Do me a favor. Can you send me a message on Facebook? Because obviously people are not going to stop. This is why I don't do this, because people are just so disrespectful. And so go to my website, bishopjameslong.com. and send me a message if you would on my Facebook. And then I can talk to you privately about this, because I'm just going to end this in the phone thing, because people just, again.
Hey Bishop, I'm willing to wait this out, because I think this message.
So you want to, okay, area code 91. I tell you what, 914. I'm going to block you. Excuse me 1 second. Let me just block, or what I should do is let the caller ID say your number. So what I'm doing for the person who keeps calling area code 914, I'm actually speaking over Siri, saying your number out loud. So maybe I should just tell everybody your number, or whoever's doing it. You're being very rude. As a matter of fact, because you're being so rude, I'm going to excuse me. Let me block this person. There you go, 914. And I seriously, I should have let Siri just give in your number.
Now you did the right thing there, Bishop. You did the right thing.
Disgusting. I didn't get that. Oh, Siri, hush. Now Siri's talking. Yeah, send me a message on Facebook, and we'll have a conversation there. How's that?
Okay. Can I? Would you mind if I just tell the rest of the story? I think it will be very good for your audience. I really do.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I pull over to the side, whatever. My wife knows exactly what I'm going to do without saying a word to her. I get out and I ask the guy if he needs help. Yeah, I would love help. Whatever. He gets in his car. Anyway, I push him out, and the exertion and the force that I put in pushing him out, I fell into a puddle of icy water. And it was like so exhilarating to me that I didn't care. I was like, I'm fine. He's fine. I'm going to go to my parents' house now. My dad's going to give me clothes that are too big for me, and I'm going to wear them, and I'll be good. Anyway, come full circle. A couple weeks ago, I heard that my father, who's 80 something now, he fell in the middle of the street. And I really am going to try not to tear up during this, but a black woman and her son pulled up and said to him, "Are you okay?" And he said, I'm okay. Took him into her car, dressed the wound that was on. He didn't even realize he was cut on his knee. Dressed the wound with like whatever makeshift tissues, and I don't know what else she had, band-aids maybe, whatever it was. Said, is there any other way I can help you? And she said, and my dad said, could you drive me I'm going to go pick up my car. I'm having work done. Could you drive me? She was like, I can't, because we're headed to a doctor's appointment and I'm already a couple minutes behind, but I'm going to call you an Uber and they'll come. And my dad said, no. And the woman said, absolutely. I'm going to call you an Uber. You just wait right here. Within 3 minutes, an Uber showed up and took my dad to get his car. And to me, that was just the epitome of you reap what you sow.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's true. It always comes back. It always comes back. Well, listen, thank you so much for the call, and I appreciate that. And send me a message, and we'll talk a little bit more privately on Facebook. How's that?
Okay, very good. I love you, Bishop. I love you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Okay, everybody. So here's the deal. This is I love doing this, but every time I just and see, the problem is that this is when because Siri. She's gonna there she goes again. I'm not talking to you. Go away. So anyway, this Siri, go. See, this is AI right here. AI right here. So because your phone number is announced, and I don't want your phone number being announced. That's why I talk over it so that no one can hear the number that's being called. That's why I've said plenty of times, please do not call when I'm in the middle of a call, because this phone announces your phone number. So I actually do it for your benefit, not mine. So anyway, what I'm going to do for a little bit on TikTok is I'm going to, well, thank you very much. That's very beautiful. Thank you, Liz Score. Thank you. So after the show is over, I'm going to stay on TikTok for a little while. And what we're going to do is we can kind of bring people on the screen with us that way. I can't do it now because I have the show on multiple computers. So Yeah, I know. Well, we'll have to figure out. I do like someone's opinion. Let's see. Yeah, Josh had a good idea. I think we should have something where people could sign up in a week in advance to be able to call in and have the chance to talk with you live. I actually like that idea, and I might put that on my Facebook page. So that's what I'm like. I can't multiple lines. It's hard enough to do one line. I'm answering. I'd have to answer all the calls, and I can't. So so I might do that. I might post on my Facebook page. That's a good idea. So every Friday I'll post. If you want me to call you, then you have to send me a private message, and I'll tell you what time I'm going to call. So we might have to do that. So yeah, I think that's a good idea. But we're going to turn this off, unfortunately, because it's already 8:45 and we have to wrap things up and get ready to close down shop soon. But keep in mind, folks, tonight we have night prayer, and so I'm going to stay on TikTok for a little longer. So don't go anywhere, TikTok. And night prayer is at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. And 9:45, we play music. It's strictly on Spreaker. So just go to bishopjameslong.com, click on the Spreaker link. It will take you there. Now, tomorrow we're going to be here as well. So we will do the show. It's open mic night. So Miss Wilma, thank you there, Jay. Miss Wilma, myself, and Judy Ann, from 8 o'clock to 8:30, we just have a good time. We joke around. We just have a great time. And then at 8:30, I go right into demonology or questions, and we'll try that again. So we'll try it. That's how we do. And that'll be tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And don't forget, Sunday we have Bible study. Bible study is at 8 as well. Okay. For those of you on Spreaker, I'm going to say goodnight to you guys. Yeah, unfortunately, it goes by too fast, doesn't it? But I'm going to stay on TikTok for a little longer. I'm trying to bring people up. Normally, we don't do that, but we'll try to see how that goes. Okay, next week the show is going to be about saging, and that's going to be a good time. We're looking forward to that because I think it's necessary to try to talk about saging and why it's important and how it's beneficial. And so there we go. But don't forget, tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be live. My friends, remember, your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. You're priceless, and don't let any troll tell you or convince you otherwise. So Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Rumble, KGREDB Radio, good night.
The Sacred Division has been brought to you by Bishop Long's online paranormal course. Learn demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy. It's 100% online, and you learn at your own pace. Please go to www.bishopjameslong.com and click on the paranormal course link.